And good afternoon, and welcome to the first edition of the Gary Dunn Show on CUTV. I'm your host, Gary Smith, and we're excited to be bringing you another season of Vulcan football. It's a very exciting season this 2016 because we have a brand new head coach, and I'd like to welcome him to his own show. It's all kind of weird to say, but Coach, welcome, and welcome back.
Well, appreciate it. It's great to be back. Great to be back up here at CUTV with you guys, and excited to talk about this season.
And just since this is the first show of the season, we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit and bring all the fans up to speed. You were named coach in February. What's it been like coming back to your alma mater? Because one of the first things in February when I was talking to my friends, they were like, "Who's the new coach?" And I would say your name, be like, the player, right? I'm like, "Yeah, he played here." What's it been like coming back home?
It's been great, to come back to the university that I went to, that I love, to be involved with this program has been tremendous. The alumni outreach and the alumni support that we've gotten so far have been great, and it's just been a joy every day to come to work and excited to kind of get it rolling. And
I tell you what, ever since you were named head coach in February, it seemed like it was a challenge to your team to try and be at as many different university functions as possible. They've been very visible in the community on campus, and it's been great to see.
That's something we talked about when I first got here with the players is getting involved in this community, getting involved on campus. We would just watch volleyball last Thursday before we left for Cheney on Friday, get a big win in their home opener, which was great. But we've been to men's and women's basketball games. We've done over, I think, 300 hours of community service since February, and just really want to be involved in the university, the campus, and the community.
And being named coach when you were in February, it's kind of a little late in the season or late in the off season. But for people that don't know at home, what's it like? It's not like you were named coach and then it's like you put your head up or your hand up on your office chair and just wait until training camp starts in August. It's pretty much full speed from the get-go.
Absolutely, we were behind the gun a little bit. I got in the day before National Signing Day. So we were a little bit late in recruiting. Luckily, the guys that were on staff, Coach Chad Salisbury and Larry Wilson, did a great job of talking to prospects before the head coach was named. And then we hit the ground recruiting as soon as I got here. The next day we had a recruiting meeting and then had recruiting visits all the way up till the end of February, and then had to get ready for spring ball that started at the end of March. So it was a whirlwind, and we really didn't catch our breath until our guys got out of school after spring ball in May, and then we started May recruiting for this year's class. So we didn't get a break until probably June before we got a little bit of time off, which was great. Felt good about the class that we brought in and really getting out involved in the community like we talked about, getting to know our guys, getting to know our players a little bit better.
And coming into the season after you had that probably like a 1 week break for you and your staff between the spring and the summer, but coming into camp, your first year as head coach, with players coming back and recruits coming, what was that like trying to get everybody on one page?
It was phenomenal. Our guys did a tremendous job getting to know each other over the summer. Our upperclassmen did a great job of reaching out to our prospects and getting to know those guys before they got here. We all moved into Building E on campus for the first 10 days of training camp, which was a little bit different than they've done the past couple years, but I think that was a big way for us to get to know each other. We spent 10 days on campus in preseason camp and really formed the bond that we wanted to during preseason camp, and I think it's carrying over now.
And with camp in this season, California didn't play week 1 of the regular season of the NCAA schedule. Did that help, having an extra week of just not having to worry about a game to try and get to know your team and get everything the way you want it to go into that first game?
Yeah, it depends who you ask. As a coaching staff, we loved it. It gave us an extra week to prepare, gave us an extra week to get to know our guys and really, putting a new offensive scheme in, putting a new defensive scheme in. It gave it an extra week to prepare. Now, if you ask our players if they wanted an extra week of preseason camp, they didn't. They wanted to line up and compete that first week. But I think down the long haul, it'll benefit us a great deal.
Now, moving into the regular season, finally, last week was the first game of the Gary Dunn era. And what was it like leading that team out onto the field for the first time as the head coach of the Vulcans?
It was special for me. We had some former alumni that live in the Philadelphia area that came, and I was able to visit with them a little bit before the ball game, which was nice to probably calm my nerves a little bit. But just working with these guys all the way through spring ball, 15 practices, and then through essentially 4 weeks of preseason camp, it was time that we played somebody else other than ourselves. And I told the team before we went out on the field that the way they've handled themselves, the way they've competed, the way they've prepared, I'd have bought a ticket to watch them play on Saturday. I was just excited to get out there.
I tell you what, we were out there for CUTV and WCAL, and we're setting up, and you start looking around the stands, and usually you start seeing the home team, the colors and the jerseys and stuff, but it was probably 80% Cal red and black in that stands, and that was great to see. I'm sure that probably helped because that 5.5-hour ride to Cheney is not the most desirable ride in the world, but that probably helped get a little bit more of the juices flowing for your team.
It was. I was really pleased with the turnout. Like I said, we did have some alumni there, but our parents traveled very well. Friends of the program traveled, so it was nice to get out there and have some fan support and maybe more than them or just as many as them, which was nice.
And as we turn to the actual game, the final score was 79-3, and we'll see the highlights here in a few minutes. We'll just talk a little bit about going into that game. We were hearing things about how fast the offense was going to be and how fast it was going to be, and seeing it live, that was very impressive.
Yeah, I think going into the game on both sides of the ball, we talked about our schedule is California versus California. If we handle what we need to handle and we're focused on the details, then good things are going to happen to us. And I was extremely proud of the way we played in all three sets, on offense, defense, and special teams. I thought everybody showed up. Now, we got some things we got to correct, but for a first game, I was very pleased with our execution all around.
And on the defensive side, 2 pick sixes, and I tell you what, it seemed like everyone you plugged in on the defensive side of the ball was just flying to the ball.
Yeah, those guys, and Coach Craig does a great job, our defensive coordinator, of preparing our guys. We want to play an aggressive style defense, and I think that showed on Saturday, but we try and defend every blade of grass. And we talked to our guys in the hotel on Friday about 6-second mentality. The average college football plays 4 to 6 seconds. We're going to give great effort on every second that we're out there, and I thought that kind of showed through on Saturday.
And it was a great win, Coach, certainly for your first outing, a close 79-3 victory. But we're going to look at the highlights here from last week, and then after the commercial break, we're going to take a tour around the PSAC, look at the scores and standings, and then preview our upcoming opponent this Saturday, Millsville. You're watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.
Looking to pass now, sees the target right in Gary Brown. Catch, big play there, stiff arms, one, and he still has some room, and he's breaking this for a touchdown. Just a great blocking there, and Gary Brown gets into the end zone early for this Vulcans team. And a low snap, but Michael Keir handles it, throws it deep. Looks like it's going to be to Gary Brown, I believe, and it was. Now we're going to see here they have 2 wide receivers to his left, and Jalen Bell pushing forward. And a fake to Nick Grissom over to McCauley, and McCauley has an open field right in front of him, getting into the end zone, and McCauley, that'd be Ryan McCauley making his play. And they are going to give it to Nick Grissom, and Nick Grissom enters the end zone untouched. And Trouts is looking to throw, and right into the arms of number 31, Luke Rapchak, and he is going to jump into the end zone, and that is a defensive touchdown there for the Vulcans. I formation set, and he's looking to pass here, throws it deep, and number 5, Daquan Earl, takes it into the end zone, and that is the second defensive touchdown here for the Vulcans in the second half. Desmond Green in motion, and Goldsman's going down the field, breaking tackles, and the ball actually comes out. Desmond Green, it looks like, actually no, number 14, that's gonna be Jordan Dandridge. And Bailey now making a move upfield, staying in bounds, seeing some space, and getting into the touchdown, into the end zone, extending their lead.
Exciting Vulcan football is back this fall. September 10th at Cheney. September 17th versus Millersville. September 24th at Seton Hill. October 1st versus Slippery Rock. October 8th versus Indiana. October 15th at Clarion. October 22nd versus Gannon. October 29th at Mercyhurst. November 5th versus Edinburgh. November 12th versus East Stroudsburg. Catch all the action on CUTV and WCAL. CUTV's High School Football Game of the Week. Springdale at Jeff Morgan. Avella at California. Bell Vernon at Ringgold. Greensburg Central Catholic at Charleroi. Waynesburg at Southmoreland. Baldwin at Connellsville. Beth Center at Brownsville. Fraser at Bentworth. Bishop Canavan at Carmichael. The longest running high school coverage in southwestern PA is on CUTV.
CUTV News Center is California University of Pennsylvania's award-winning student television newscast. Your source for live, local, late-breaking news. Forecasts from the CalU Weather Center. The region's latest entertainment news. Vulcan sports highlights and regional scoreboards with television news coverage you can't get anywhere else. Watch it live Thursdays on CUTV and on demand. CUTV News Center, online all the time.
And welcome back to the Gary Dunn Show for the first week of action in the 2016. I'm your host once again, Gary Smith, joined by head coach Gary Dunn. And coach, as we saw the highlights there, a great first win to start the season off. But as every coach, I think in America says, 1 week at a time, and the calendar's changed, and the calendar now has a giant M on it with Millersville coming in this Saturday for your first home game as a Vulcan head coach.
Yeah, on to the next one. We put this one to bed. We give our players off Sundays and put it to bed yesterday, Monday, and started preparing for Millersville. So excited. Hopefully we'll have a great crowd here at Addison Stadium this weekend and start the home season. And
we're going to take a look, before we get into the nuts and bolts of Millersville, we're going to take a look around the conference at the scores and standings from this past week. It was the first week of crossover games in the PSAC with, I think, 18 or 16 schools, maybe 30 schools in the PSAC playing. Necessitates a couple weeks of crossover. First, we're going to look at the standings after week one. PSAC West, there's not one team with the goose egg in the win columns. That just shows how strong the league is.
Absolutely. And this week in particular, with the crossover week, I think the West went 8-1 or 7-1. The only team that ended up winning from the East was Bloomsburg, beat Clarion in a good game, and the West kind of won the rest of them. So as you're on the bus on the way home looking at that, you're thinking, boy, we got a long way to go. So it's very competitive. Edinburgh's got it turned around, it looks like, with 2-0. Gannon's 2-0. IUP was like us and just had the week, didn't have the week one game, and Seton Hill, we're watching them versus Millersville right now. Slippery Rock's had 2 big wins, so it's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
And let's take a look over just to get a glance at what the PSAC East looks like after 1 week. Of course, like I said, this early in the season, no conference games been played, but you see there, Bloomsburg 2-0, and then a bunch of 1-1s, and Kutztown and Lock Haven at 0-2. Yeah,
in fact, all those guys, with the exception of Bloomsburg, lost to the West school, like I said. So it was, and which was funny, the West was on the road. Every game was at a PSAC East opponent, and the West did pretty well this week.
Yeah, we were kind of playing the game of spot the PSAC bumper stickers as we were coming back on the turnpike. Let's take a look at our graphics now of the actual scores around the conference from this past weekend. We see Edinburgh beat Lock Haven 44-38. Slippery Rock and Westchester, that game took place about 15 miles from where we were, and that, from what I was reading, was a pretty close game.
Yeah, it seemed that, obviously Slippery Rock's putting up some points and had a big win against New Haven the week before and put up a lot of points, so interesting to see what they're doing. Gannon, that's a big win for Gannon, going out to Ship and beating Ship. Bloomsburg's always a power on that side, and looks like Clarion played them pretty tough.
Well, let's take a look at the rest of the scores from this past weekend. I see Seton Hill, next week's opponent. We're not going to look too far ahead, but they beat this week's opponent, Millersville.
Yeah, so we're actually watching that game as a staff right now, preparing for Millersville, but also getting a quick look at Seton Hill, when we're watching Millersville. So obviously scoring a lot of points, and Millersville does a nice job as well, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit. And then you see Indiana hung 73 on East Stroudsburg, and there's a lot of points in that game. That's an offensive coach's game right there.
Yeah, I feel bad for the people statting that game, because that's a lot of points for a college football game.
It sure is.
Switching over to this week's game, this week's opponent, Millersville, as you said, they beat Seton Hill, or they lost to Seton Hill this past Saturday. On tape so far, what have you seen that Millersville does? What do they bring to the table?
You know, defensively, very aggressive style defense. They're going to bring some pressure, especially in the red zone, and try and disrupt your passing game and outnumber you in the box and try and stop the run. Very athletic defense, very fast with the football, play extremely hard. So it's going to be a challenge for our guys.
And on the offensive side of the ball, what should the Vulcan defense be looking for?
A lot of motions, a lot of formation. It's what we call in our office a true college offense. You know, you're going to get just about every formation, every motion, a lot of movement. Their quarterback does a nice job. They like to throw the ball, but they do have a pretty strong run game. So it's going to be a challenge for our guys defensively, just to make sure that we're playing assignment football and we're tied into our checks and what we want to do versus different motions and different formations. And I know Coach Craig and Coach Davia and the defensive staff will have those guys ready to go.
And I think it's been a few years since we played Millersville at home. I think we played them on the road a few years ago. It's not an opponent we see that often in Cali because it seems like every time they come up on the schedule, the scheduling structure changes a little bit. But for you personally, this will be your first game as a head coach at home for the Vulcans.
Yeah.
And Adamson Stadium was your home as a player. What's that going to be like walking out of the tunnel?
Exciting. You know, I've had, like I said, one of the best things is the alumni outreach that I've had. We had an alumni from, I believe, the 60s in the office yesterday, and he's coming. That'll be the biggest thing, just being out there in front of the former Vulcans, me being one. A lot of my friends that I've played with, it's kind of funny, they're all in an email group and they're back and forth who's going to what game. So we're going to have some guys in the stands that I played with. I know Vic Shandor is a receiver that I played with that's coming back this weekend. Quite a few guys back this weekend, and then it's kind of split between that and the IUP game. So it's going to be great to be back at Adamson Stadium. I've missed it, you know, from when I played in the 90s there, and it's a special place to me. So excited to kind of get it rolling.
And you can obviously tell you're excited about that. But what about the trickle-down effect? Because if the players are seeing all this excitement coming back from players, I mean, does that help just kind of just build just that pride in the program and keep it rolling?
You know, I think it does. And that was one of our goals when we came back and talked with our team. When I sat down with them the first week of when I was here, you know, about us being involved in the community and us being involved with different groups on campus. And hopefully they'll do the same thing and come back. I went and talked with the fraternities and the sororities last week and told them we'd like to be involved with their organizations and their community service efforts and their, you know, philanthropy ideas. And hopefully they're going to come and rock Adamson Stadium on Saturday for us. So we're excited to see.
And hopefully we have another beautiful day like we've had the last couple of days. I know Cheney was about 100 degrees with 100% humidity on a dusty field, but hopefully we get a good day at Adamson Stadium at 1 o'clock for the game because, like I said, it's college football season. It seems like there's no transition. It goes right from baseball season, watching the Pirates, to, you know, Steelers, Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia, Cal, all the high schools. And this is just a great time of year, I think, in the country.
Yeah, it was great last night. You had the Pirates on, the Steelers on, Pitt, Penn State played this weekend, and the Vulcans are at home on Saturday. So excited to be a part of it.
We have a few more minutes, Coach, and we'll just talk a little bit about you mentioned how you gave your players the day off on Sunday. Just for people that don't know, what is a typical week like for you and your staff to get a team ready for the Saturday game?
Yeah, of course we lined up on Saturday and played. Had a long bus trip back home. Got home probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. We were back in the office as a staff at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Putting that game to bed, you know, looking at corrections from each phase of the game, offense, defense, special teams, and then as soon as we were done with that, we were right on to Millersville. We had the Millersville Seton Hill game. We broke that down Sunday afternoon. Sunday is the day we try and get out of the office a little bit early to spend some time with our family. So Sunday, you know, we were in there for a while and then got out of there. Monday we had team. You know, we were in all morning preparing for Seton Hill. We had team meeting at 3 o'clock where I talked to the team about the previous game and the next game, and then we jump into special teams and offense and defense, and then we had a light workout last night at 6 o'clock. Today, as soon as I'm done here, I'm heading to a special teams meeting at 11 o'clock. We use the common hour for our guys to meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we'll meet each day, whether it's the common hour at 2 o'clock, and then we practice every day at 3:30. We'll have a practice on Friday and then some meetings on Friday, and then kick it off on Saturday. So it's 7 days a week for coaches. Players are 6 days a week because the NCAA says we have to give them a day off, and that's Sunday for those guys. So, but it's exciting. It's, you know, each one of our coaching staff we talk about. It's not showing up to work every day. It's something we love to do. We love to prepare and try and get the best out of these young guys.
I say thanks for that, because I mean the average fan probably just sees you guys on the sideline Saturday and then wonders, but I mean, we all know, we see it, you guys running around. It's pretty much 24/7, 360, maybe 363.
It is, and that's the great thing about it. You know, we go home at night, and I think just about everybody on our staff has kids, so we try and get out of there at a decent hour at night, and then, you know, when our kids go to bed, we pull the laptops out and we're working at home. I was up until 10:30 last night watching Millersville Red Zone film, and I know Coach Salisbury was doing the same, because as soon as we hit the office this morning, we had our notes about what we watched last night. So it's awesome for us to have the families that we do that allow us to spend as much time as we do with our players and getting our guys ready to go.
And it's an exciting product for sure, as we saw on Saturday, this past Saturday. So let's get a lot of red and black in the stands this Saturday at Adamson Stadium for Cal Millersville, first home game of the 2016 season. Here's the rest of the schedule around the PSAC. Another week of crossover games. The game I'm probably going to look at, other than the Millersville, California game, because I'll be there, is, of course, Kutztown Seton Hill, because Seton Hill is next week's opponent.
Yeah, it's you know, we're not looking ahead to those guys yet, but you know, I think it's a great league that you play the crossover games and you really get an idea of where you're at in the conference. And you know, I've always said when I was at different schools before I got back, boy, I'd love to be back in the PSAC, and here we are, and it's an exciting time for everybody.
And so Saturday, 1 o'clock, Adamson Stadium. If for some reason you have a note and can't be there at the stadium, there's multiple ways to stay in contact. CUTV will be having our feed live on calvulcans.com, so check it out. Just go to calvulcans.com. There will be a watch live link. If for some reason your laptop or you're driving, we don't want you watching it while you're driving. You can listen. Well, you can listen to the 91.9 FM broadcast. Unfortunately, it's not on the radio proper, as we have to turn the transmitter down for game days because of safety issues, having 3,300 watts over top, hopefully 10,000 or 8,000 people. So you can listen to the online app, and also you can keep up with Matt Kiefer and his staff as they live tweet the game and everything like that. So if you can't pay attention to this game, shame on you, but bottom line is come out to the game. Let's see a lot of red and black and cheer on the Vulcans. And Coach, thanks a lot, and good luck this week.
Thanks for having me. We appreciate it. Let's hope we get a big crowd at Adamson Stadium this week. I know they got some different promotions going on and things that are going to be happening in the stadium, so we're excited to be at home, that's for sure, and looking forward to it.
And that does it for this week's edition of the Gary Dunn Show. We'll see you next week, hopefully talking about another exciting win for the Vulcans, and with highlights, scores, standings, schedules, and more. You've been watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.